There was a different kind of energy around Pittsburgh when Art Rooney spoke publicly, and it was noticeable from the very first answers. The timing alone told a story, because this was much earlier in the offseason than anyone around the league is used to hearing from him. Circumstances forced his hand after Mike Tomlin stepped away, but instead of deflecting or buying time, Rooney showed up prepared, direct, and unusually transparent. Even he admitted that he never imagined Tomlin would come to him so abruptly after a game and make that decision. In that moment, he could have easily leaned on uncertainty, saying everything was too fresh and that clarity would come later. That never happened. He leaned into the questions and revealed more about how this franchise sees itself than we have heard in a long time. When the conversation shifted toward what matters most in the next head coach, Rooney did not hesitate. Leadership stood above everything else. Not scheme, not side of the ball, not trends around the league. Leadership. He framed the role the same way he always has, as the central figure who sets tone, commands respect, and carries authority across the entire operation. That philosophy was immediately tied to the lineage of coaches who defined the Steelers for generations. Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, and Mike Tomlin were not just tacticians. They were leaders with presence, with command, and with real influence inside the building. Rooney made it clear that this model is not changing. The structure remains intact, with a head coach who has power, autonomy, and a strong voice in roster decisions, whether through the draft or other avenues. Another detail that stood out was how specific Rooney became about where this next coach would come from. His preference is for someone already shaped by the National Football League, but not someone currently holding a head coaching job. That narrows the lens considerably and aligns almost perfectly with what the Steelers have done in the past. At the same time, he shut the door on the idea of promoting from within. That option is not on the table. While he never outright stated that youth was a requirement, the reality became obvious once the interview request surfaced. Every single known candidate is young by league standards, and that alone says plenty about the direction of this search. Among those names, one immediately stands apart because of his offensive background. Nate Skilhus has been working as the Rams passing game coordinator under Sean McVay, and around the league, that coaching tree continues to carry serious weight. He is 35 years old, and that number might make some fans uneasy at first glance, but history says otherwise. Look back at how old Noll, Cowher, and Tomlin were when they were hired. Age was never the barrier. Skilhus has drawn interest from multiple teams, which speaks to how his work is being viewed across the league, and his resume includes far more than just one title on a staff list. The remaining candidates all come from a defensive side, and each brings a different profile. Chris Shula has been running the Rams defense for the past couple of seasons and carries a famous last name that resonates deeply with football history. He is 39 and already trusted with a major unit on a competitive team. Anthony Weaver, currently coordinating the Dolphins' defense, brings a reputation for physicality and adaptability and is 45 years old. Jesse Minter has been a name quietly gaining momentum for weeks, with many around the league expecting his opportunity to come sooner rather than later. At 42, his work with the Chargers has put him firmly on the radar. Then there is Brian Flores, the name most familiar to Pittsburgh fans. After spending time in the organization and now serving as the Vikings' defensive coordinator, his experience as a former head coach adds another layer to his candidacy, shaped by both success and conflict earlier in his career. Those names will dominate headlines and debates, but the most revealing part of Rooney's comments had little to do with individual candidates. It came when he was asked about the idea of a long rebuild. His response was blunt and almost philosophical. He questioned the logic of accepting a lost year, of entering a season without the intention of competing. For him, the standard is not conditional. Every year, the expectation is to put the team in position to chase a championship. The roster changes annually, circumstances shift, and sometimes the talent aligns better than other times, but the mindset never wavers. You try every year. That belief is deeply rooted in how the Steelers have operated for decades. Around the league, there are multiple blueprints for resetting a franchise. Some teams tear everything down and endure pain in hopes of emerging stronger. Others retool on the fly, staying competitive while adjusting pieces year by year. Rooney's comments suggested that the correct path depends heavily on the state of the roster, with the quarterback position sitting right near the top of that evaluation. Coaching philosophy matters too, especially when a new voice and new ideas enter the building. What he rejected outright was the idea of giving up on a season by design. Competing is not optional in Pittsburgh. It is the baseline. That philosophy naturally feeds into how the next coach might approach the quarterback position. If a new head coach believes the best move is to select a quarterback in the upcoming draft, that would not be held against him. If the plan instead involves riding with the current options, even knowing it may not produce immediate results, that too can fit within the broader vision, provided it serves the long-term health of the franchise. Buying time, gaining information, and positioning the team for a more aggressive move later is not viewed as failure. It is strategy. What matters is that each decision aligns with the belief that championships are always the goal, even when the path there requires patience. All of this underscores something larger than one coaching hire or one season. It speaks to the foundation of how the Steelers see themselves in an evolving league. There is respect for tradition, but not blind adherence. There is openness to youth, but not recklessness. There is patience, but no appetite for surrendering competitiveness. As the search continues and speculation intensifies, the underlying message from ownership is clear. This franchise does not believe in standing still, and it does not believe in intentionally stepping back, even in moments of transition. Another layer to all of this is the emotional temperature around the fan base since Tomlin stepped away. There's a sense that frustration has been searching for a new target, and naturally it has drifted upward toward ownership. When a long-tenured coach exits, especially one as polarizing as Tomlin had become in recent seasons, the debate does not simply disappear. It shifts. Many fans are still processing years of playoff disappointment and unmet expectations, and without a head coach to direct that anger toward, the focus turns to the people who set the structure above him. That context matters when evaluating the criticism being aimed at Art Rooney right now. Age has become part of the discussion as well. Art Rooney is 73, and that number alone has prompted questions about succession and long-term vision. Around the league, front office transitions often happen quietly before the public fully realizes what is changing. The Steelers, by contrast, tend to operate in full view, even when they're not saying much. That makes every detail feel amplified. During the press conference, one detail did not go unnoticed by those in the room. Dan Rooney Jr. was present, seated close to the front, positioned alongside Omar Khan. That is not accidental. In organizations like this, presence signals involvement, and involvement signals preparation. Rooney himself made it clear that the coaching search would be conducted by him and Khan. That pairing is significant because it reflects the current balance of power within the franchise. Khan oversees football operations on a daily basis, while Rooney remains the final authority. What he did not say may have been just as important as what he did. There was no mention of stepping away, no hint of immediate transition, and no suggestion that control is about to change hands. At the same time, the visibility of the younger Rooney suggests that learning and exposure are happening in real time, not someday down the road. Historically, the Steelers have handled these transitions with patience. When Dan Rooney Sr. handed football control to Art back in the early 2000s, he was already in his early 70s. That change did not come with drama or public declarations. It came through gradual involvement, shared responsibility, and trust built over time. The parallels are hard to ignore, but that does not mean the same timeline is being followed now. Every situation is different, shaped by family dynamics, health, and personal priorities that outsiders simply do not see. What is clear is that this moment would be an enormous test for anyone stepping into a larger role. Overseeing the search for a head coach who will define the next era of Steelers football is not a small assignment. It sets culture, direction, and expectations for years to come. There is a strong argument that this should not be the first major decision for for someone assuming day-to-day control. Being involved is one thing. Being ultimately responsible is another. Experience matters here, especially when the stakes are this high. Those who have spent time around Dan Rooney Jr. describe him as energetic and personable, someone who connects easily and brings a different kind of presence into the room. He is not viewed as stiff or detached. In international settings, particularly during events representing the franchise abroad, he has shown comfort in leadership roles and an ability to engage with people from all walks of life. That side of him has impressed many within league circles. Still, charisma alone does not run a franchise. Decision-making under pressure, especially during periods of transition, is where credibility is truly built. This is why the current moment feels more like a bridge than a handoff. The younger Rooney being present, listening, and absorbing the process aligns with how this organization typically prepares its leaders. Nothing is rushed. Nothing is announced prematurely. The Steelers value continuity, but they also value readiness. If a transition does come, it will likely follow the same deliberate path as those before it, shaped by timing rather than noise from the outside. Meanwhile, the immediate focus remains squarely on football. The coaching search, the roster evaluation, and especially the quarterback question will define the next several seasons. Whoever takes over on the sideline will inherit not only a proud franchise, but also a complex challenge. Balancing competitiveness with development, honoring tradition while adapting to a changing league, and managing expectations in one of the most demanding markets in professional sports is not an easy assignment. This is why Rooney's insistence on leadership resonates so strongly. He is not just talking about someone who can draw up plays or coordinate a unit. He is talking about a figure capable of commanding the entire building, someone who understands the weight of the logo and the responsibility that comes with it. In Pittsburgh, the head coach is more than an employee. He is a steward of the franchise's identity. As this process continues, the noise will only grow louder. Speculation about candidates, debates over philosophy, and arguments about ownership will fill every corner of the conversation. But beneath all of that, the Steelers are operating the way they always have, methodical, controlled, and deeply aware of who they are. Change is coming, but it is being handled on their terms, shaped by values that have guided the franchise for generations, and driven by a belief that stability and ambition do not have to be opposites when structure is strong enough to support both. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Whispers have begun circulating across the NFL, and if the latest speculation proves true, it could shake the very foundation of Pittsburgh's plans for the coming seasons. Aaron Rodgers, the veteran quarterback whose name has been synonymous with clutch plays and late-game heroics for over a decade, is reportedly ready to make a move that no one saw coming. Sources close to the organization hint that Rodgers has made a decisive call regarding his future, and it may very well rewrite the Steelers' playbook for 2026. Though Rodgers has been a fixture in Pittsburgh's offense, his decision to leave, or at least seriously consider leaving, has set tongues wagging across league circles. The quarterback, known for his sharp football IQ and unparalleled ability to read defenses, is apparently evaluating his options with a focus that suggests finality. While some fans had assumed Rodgers would continue shaping the Steelers' aerial attack well into the next decade, insiders suggest he has already reworked his personal plan, signaling an exit that would force Pittsburgh into a major recalibration. The speculation is fueled not only by Rodgers' reputation for bold moves, but also by his recent comments in private settings, where he reportedly expressed a desire to explore new challenges. Coaches and teammates are said to be aware that this is more than a passing thought. It's a strategic, well-considered decision. For a franchise that has long relied on stability at quarterback, the implications are staggering. The Steelers' management may now be faced with accelerating their plans to groom a successor or hunting for a high-profile replacement, all while trying to maintain team morale and fan confidence. Even within league circles, the reaction is one of cautious curiosity. If Rodgers does choose to depart, it could spark a domino effect across the NFL, with teams recalibrating their own strategies in anticipation of a potential quarterback shuffle. Trades, signings, and even draft picks could suddenly take on a new dimension as executives attempt to anticipate where a player of Rodgers' caliber might land. Meanwhile, fans are left to wonder, will this be a quiet exit, a dramatic farewell, or something entirely unexpected? One thing is clear, whatever decision Rodgers ultimately makes, it is poised to redefine the Steelers' roadmap and send ripples through the league for seasons to come. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Pittsburgh Steelers, make sure to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.